It has a Adreno 612 GPU, perfect for those heavy games. You've got MIUI 10 with Android Pie and bringing you all those optimizations and overall a smoother experience. Up to 6 GB of DDR4X RAM and 128 GB of storage. And of course, the Spectra 250L ISP. It's an all-new ISP required for a massive camera. And with that, let's get into the most exciting part, the camera. Now, the camera on the Note 7 Pro is a combination of a 48 megapixel camera, and that's the primary camera, and along with that 48, you have a 5 megapixel depth sensor for those amazing portrait shots. Now, this 48 MP camera has probably generated a lot more buzz than any of our features ever before. In fact, when I think about 4 weeks back is when we first talked about the fact that 48 MP is coming, we have got thousands and thousands of questions, comments from a lot of our Mi fans as well, asking various aspects or various details. A lot of them wanted to know multiple aspects. So we've just taken some of those and put them here. So for example, Ashu wanted to know if this 48 megapixel was actually a real camera or is just software based. Or one of our very close fans who take a lot of inspiration from us, Madhav, wanted to compare it with a 13 megapixel sensor from the previous generation. So we will do that as well. And then Arijit wanted to know if the processor can actually support anything more than 24 megapixel. Well, we've answered the last question. So we know that the new ISP can handle 48 megapixel. But let's look at the other two. So on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, the camera that you get is a 48 megapixel camera, and the sensor that you get is the okay. So we've decided to use the highest resolution sensor available on any smartphone, period. It is an absolutely amazing sensor. It changes mobile photography forever. And of course, it is there on your Redmi Note 7 Pro. But before we deep dive, I want to show a couple of images. Let's play a little quiz. Can you guys guess what this is? Anyone from the top? I heard Game of Thrones wall. Okay, yes. It's really hard to do this with Mi fans around. They know everything. Okay, yes. So this was a zoomed in shot of an air purifier. Or, let's take a look at this one. What is this? Sweater. Pillow. This is the Mi neck pillow. Okay, let's get into a couple of sample images. Now this is a shot of the Taj, right? And I'm going to switch to Hindi for a bit here, because this is a proper 48 megapixel shot. So when we were taking the shot, हम दूर से देख रहे थे, तो दूर से देखा तो ताज महल दिख रहा था. दूर से देखा तो ताज महल दिख रहा था, पास जाके देखा तो कोई हमारी ही खींच रहा था. Let's do one more. दूर से देखा तो एक फतेहपुर सीकरी का किला दिख रहा था, राइट? हाँ, थैंक यू. पास जाके देखा तो कोई रिश्वत ले रहा था. Okay, moving back. what you get with the 48 megapixel sensor or camera on the Note 7 Pro is incredible detailing. This, of course, is the Taj Palace Hotel in Mumbai. And what you can see is a daylight shot with all the details captured properly. Unfortunately, the screen itself isn't big enough to handle that resolution, but we are trying to get there. Now, in a shot like this, with the 48 megapixel camera, you can zoom in even further and without losing any detail. You can see all the details captured. In fact, you can even look at that pigeon and count the feathers that they've got on the edges. It's an incredible camera. And let's go to the next section where let's talk a bit more about how this camera works. So, we did talk about the fact that it's a 48 megapixel primary sensor clubbed with a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Diving a little deeper and looking at just the IMX586. Now, this is the highest resolution sensor ever put in a smartphone. It is a half-inch stacked CMOS sensor. It is massive. Not just that, it also provides 4 times the dynamic range. So your photographs actually come out a lot better, even if it was, say, in a similar situation. And all of this is happening because this all-new sensor uses improved photoelectric conversion efficiency. What it means is it's able to handle that light better. Talking about the sensor size, sensor, or one of the largest sensors ever put on a smartphone. In fact, it is almost 27% larger than even the iPhone XS Max. I think we should price it somewhere there as well. Of course, now we are talking about some flagships there, but we also looked at other mid-rangers. I don't think it's fair to compare. It's almost a 40% gap. But let's wait for the photographs there, and we'll get into that. Now, this is possible with almost 48 million individual pixels that are sitting in this half-inch sensor. It's a massive sensor with 48 million pixels. And in front of those, we have also got a 6-piece lens system and a wider than ever aperture of f1.79. It's the widest aperture we've ever put on a Redmi Note device. This gives you incredible detailed photographs like the ones you saw. In fact, with this kind of a sensor size and getting 48 megapixel, you can print photographs almost 9 feet by 7 feet in size. It's that kind of a detailing. In fact, I don't know if we have a print. We could probably show a print of what this would look like, maybe a bit. Okay. आगे जाके. So this is the image that you saw that was clicked by the Note 7 Pro. And this is not even 9 feet by 7 feet. We can go a little bigger. We could have gone a little bigger as well. So this is the capability of the incredible 48 megapixel camera on the Note 7 Pro. But that's on its own. How does it compare with other phones? Let's take a look. Now this is the Note 7 Pro versus iPhone XS and a OnePlus 6T, the other flagships. And what you can see is a superior dynamic range and a lot more detail coming in the Note 7 Pro. In fact, if you go a little closer, you'll start seeing even more differences. If you look at this particular image, right, the writing on the wall is a lot more clearer in more ways than one. Even the parts that are not well lit, the Note 7 Pro is able to handle this light a lot better than even the flagships that are out there. But it is a 48 megapixel, so we can go even closer. And if you look at that, this is a whole new level. When you've gone that close, if you look at the flag, the details on the Note 7 Pro are preserved, while both the 10s and the 60 lose that detail out. Yeah. Let's take a look at one more. Now this is the OnePlus 60 versus the Note 7 Pro. And again, this is the photograph of Taj. I will not do Shero Shairi now, so you guys are spared. What I want you to do is look at this little board here. Right? We talked about the fact that you've got incredible detailing on the Note 7 Pro. But not just that, you can clearly read the smallest font that is there. Kripya pani mein pav na dalein. But what's also interesting is, I said this sensor gives you a greater dynamic range. So if you look at the window at the back, not only is the Note 7 Pro able to capture the grill properly, but what almost every other phone would have missed out is there's a smaller grill behind this grill which has also been captured. It's incredible amount of detailing that's coming in to the Note 7 Pro's camera. No, those are flagships. And again, the reason we were comparing it with these flagships is the fact that we used a sensor that is built for the latest flagships. And I know some of you guys would want to know how it compares with other devices in the mid-range as well. So we thought we'll do that. It's not really fair, but we'll still do that. Now, if you can look at this one, right? The Note 7 Pro is far ahead in terms of dynamic range, in terms of the details, and we'll get to the details in a bit, and the overall color reproduction. But this is a 48, so we go closer. And here's where you start seeing the impact of that dynamic range coming in. The grill is absolutely clear here, while both of these other two devices start struggling. You want to see them struggle a bit more? Go on. Yes. Let's dive a bit more. Let's go even closer. And you can clearly see all the details on the Note 7 Pro, while this is just a smudged photograph. So the Note 7 Pro is an incredible camera. Now I wanted to talk a bit more about the Note 7 Pro's camera settings. Now what you get is a 48 megapixel shot. Now each image, because it has so much information, easily will be about 15 to 20 MB in size. Now this is big because when you start taking 48 megapixel cameras photographs, GB, you'll only be able to fit 50 to 60 photographs. And this means that for most of our users, you can run out of space really quickly. To improve this, or basically make it easier for, not you guys, and of course me fans will know all the settings, but for other layman person who comes in and buys the Note 7 Pro, we have put the 48 megapixel camera in the Pro mode. So by default, the photographs that you get are 12 megapixel, and these are normally about 4 to 5 MB, so you do not run out of space very quickly. But for all of me fans, you want a 48, you want a true 48, you go into the Pro settings, and there on top you enable 48 megapixel to see those incredible shots come to life. Yeah? Okay, let's move on to the next section. What do you do with a sensor this large? You excel at low light photography as well. And how this works is absolutely amazing. When the camera detects low light, it moves to combine 4 adjacent pixels into one superpixel. This superpixel is a 1.6 micron. And now you take this 1.6 micron and club it with this improved electric conversion efficiency. What you get is fantastic shots. Shots like this. Now this is a low light shot, and what most cameras would struggle to capture is, if you guys can read what's written on the typewriter, GW4682. It's absolutely clear with the Note 7 Pro. Now this is a phenomenal camera, and you see phenomenal results as well. For example, and this is another shot that we took, which was extremely low light conditions. And on the left side, you've got the iPhone XS, and on the right side, you've got the Note 7 Pro. The XS almost completely misses out the fact that there's a DJ booth in the middle. While on the Note 7 Pro, it's bright, it's clear, it's captured really well. Moving beyond flagships to other mid-range devices. Again, like I said, it's not really fair. But if you take the same image with a Realme 2 Pro or a Samsung M20, it's almost invisible. These guys really take their low light seriously. Sorry, okay. So, to sum it up, you get a 48 megapixel unbeatable detailing with the all-new Sony IMX586 sensor. You've got a large half-inch sensor that takes in so much more information. You've got a wider than ever before f1.79 aperture, a 6-piece lens, and of course, when it's low light conditions, a 1.6 micron super pixel. And you've seen those results. They're absolutely stunning, even when the lighting conditions aren't great. But being a Redmi Note, we've decided to push it to the next level. For the first time on the Redmi Note series, we are also introducing a steady handheld night photography mode. Now this is based on Xiaomi's powerful AI algorithm, and it does a remarkable job. So let me show you an example. Take a look at this night shot. It captures in so much detail. You can see the reflection of the lights captured perfectly. You can even see how the cement is, right? A great shot, agree? Well, we haven't even switched on the night mode. When you switch on the night mode, the party completely changes. See that again? Normal, much better than any of the other devices that you get in this price class. But with the night mode, it's a whole new level. Let's take a look at another shot. Without night mode, it's still a bright, clear shot. But when you take the same image with night mode, you can even see the writings up there. So how does the night mode compare? Versus the XS, now the XS does not have a night mode, so it's not really fair. But even versus the 60, it's able to get all these details and handle the lights, the light sources without really blowing out, without having any exposure challenges. In fact, let's take a look at another example. The Note 7 Pro night mode is capturing in a lot more detail than even the OnePlus 6T. So, the Note 7 Pro, unbeatable detailing day as well as night. And that's not all. We're still pushing ahead. On the camera, you also have AI scene detection as well as AI Portrait 2.0. Now, we've talked about this before, so I'll just quickly recap. With AI scene detection, the Redmi Note 7 Pro's camera is able to detect accurately 33 different scenes and change the overall saturation, improve the contrast, or all the tweaks that it needs to do to make it that perfect image for sharing. In fact, we've got India-specific changes made to this as well. An example would be this. Now, when you're taking a picture like this with the Note 7 Pro, it automatically detects that this is an architecture, this is a building, and enhances it. It improves the overall edges, it enhances the contrast, it bumps up the colors, it just makes it a lot more shareable on social media. Again, without subtle differences and making it a much better looking image. Along with this, you've got AI Portrait 2.0. Now, this is something that we all loved. With AI Portrait 2.0, you have adjustable bokeh, you've got studio lighting, and light trails. With adjustable bokeh, we all love portraiture, but you get the control in your hands. You choose how much of that depth information you want to have on your image. And then you've got studio lighting, giving you these incredibly dramatic shots every single time. And you've got now 8 unique effects, including one that's being built only for India. It's a holy effect. And you should get that pretty soon via an update. For the first time, we are also getting in a studio lighting live preview and the back camera. So you don't have to wait for the shot to be done and then you start editing. You will be able to see what the studio shot looks like live on the camera. And from an AI Portrait 2.0, we also have light trails. So you've got multiple options, and these are incredible photographs to share, especially on Instagram. In fact, if anyone, or I'm sure all of you follow Manu, you would have seen what he did during Valentine's Day. Okay, so that's still photography. We are bringing in one more change to the video part and the camera. With the Note 7 Pro, you get 4K recording at 30 frames per second. It's a powerful device with an incredible camera. You can push it to the limits. And like the previous notes, we still have EIS when you're taking those videos and you want to avoid that handshake that comes in. So that's the rear camera. On the front, we have a 13 megapixel camera. Automatically enhances your image as well as the background, depending on what the background is. You've got a studio lighting selfie for the first time, and this should be fun. And of course, it supports AI face unlock as well. So let's take a look at one shot which I really loved. Now this one is from the front camera, and it's actually, as you can see, it's a portrait shot. The backgrounds are blurred beautifully. The subject is in complete focus, but the edge detection is on point. If you look at her hair, right behind the hair, everything is blurred out. It's a stunning looking shot. Right? But what's really interesting, and what most phones will struggle to do, is when you've got two subjects in the same frame. Most phones will struggle to take that portrait shot accurately. Either you'll see blurs happening on one or the other, or, and I'm pretty sure almost 95% of the phones will not be able to do this, if you look at that little gap between these two, that is incredibly hard to find. And because of our enhanced AI semantic segmentation, we are able to detect where the subject is, where the background is, and apply that beautiful blur every single time. With the 13 megapixel front camera, you also have AI face unlock for those who prefer just to look at the phone to unlock. We will be getting studio lighting selfie, and this will come via an OTA. So to sum it up, the Note 7 Pro, 48 megapixel camera beast, unbeatable detailing, day, and as you saw, night as well. It's got a Sony IMX586 sensor, the largest, highest resolution sensor ever put on a smartphone. And we've taken it to the next level with a wider f1.79 aperture. It also supports 4K recording and an all-new night mode. Of course, from a portraiture perspective, you've got a 5 megapixel depth sensor, and you can get some amazing portrait shots with the AI scene detection and Portrait 2.0. In the front, you've got a 13 megapixel AI front camera, which does AI face beautify, scene detection, face unlock, as well as a studio lighting selfie that's coming pretty soon.